people travel and enjoy the fall season, they see trees changing colors and all. So this meeting is now being live streamed on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Thank you, Kriti. Thank you, Prem Sai, for doing that. So, guys, this session is very very special. Um, all right, it says now the meeting is being recorded and live streamed. Thank you, Akriti, thank you, Prem. We have Ellen with us. Ellen is from Malaysia, and many of you already are aware that he had come down to India. Um, he's a long-term COE member and a lead, and he had come down to India where we conducted great sessions in New Delhi and Bangalore. It was a great success. And we had Mohit coordinating from India in Bangalore, Akriti coordinating from New Delhi. Those of you who have not seen the recordings of those, I don't think we took recordings. But anyhow, so next time when he comes, make sure you are able to attend those sessions live. It was a live workshop for the first time, and it was a whole day workshop. Anyhow, so Ellen teaches multiple technologies, but we have started a special series with him called as Nail Excel Interviews. The purpose was because we had done a lot of sessions on Excel, all the features, functions of Excel. We did a few projects as well in Excel, but a lot of audience members came to us and said, "Sir, can we start a series where we are able to practice interview questions, or where we are able to learn about the interview questions based upon certain topics?" So Ellen rose up to the challenge and said, "Sure, we can do that." So I will let Ellen take over completely, and this is the first in the series, but we'll have many such sessions in the future. So I hope to learn a lot from Ellen myself, and I hope everybody will enjoy the session. My humble request that unless you have a question, and if you have a noise in the background, please keep yourself on mute. Um, and if you have any questions, you can pose them to Ellen when he signals you, or you can also write in the chat box. As in, when we get time, we'll be monitoring the chat box, and we'll be happy to Ellen will be happy to answer those questions for you. So let it be a very interactive session, guys. And uh, but when you're speaking, one person at a time, please, because that'll be easier for the instructor to handle everybody. Ellen has also shared few files. It is there in all the groups we have. It has also been shared in the chat box. For those of you who do not know Ellen yet, I'm sorry, but Akriti will be able to post. Akriti or Mohit or someone from the group can post his LinkedIn ID, and feel free to connect with Ellen. He's a gem. Um, we are sad that Malaysia took a great gem from us. All right. Having said that, over to Ellen.
All right. So yeah, good morning in India. It's good afternoon in Malaysia. So namaste. Kaisa chal raha hai? Muche sab badhiya. So I hope everyone is fine and healthy. So right now I'm going to share screen. So if you can hear me, please type number 1 in the chat box. If you can actually see my screen, maybe can you type number 2 in the chat box? Okay, so you can type number 1 if you can hear me, and if you can see my screen, I'm sharing like a PowerPoint and whatnot. You can just type number 2. So yeah, thank you so much, Mohit, for typing 1 and 2. How about others? Okay, so we only see 2 people are typing 1 and 2. How about the others? Can you hear me? And can you see my screen? Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for typing 1 and 2. Like what Arun said, this is going to be an interactive session. So I really hope that not only you can actually listen to me, but also you can just inquire if you have any questions and whatnot. All right, so let's get to topic. So basically, when it comes to interview, the purpose of getting a job is so that we can actually get some income, and with the income we have, we can make a living, right? But before we talk about a living or a job, we need to undergo a process called interview. And sometimes in some corporates, they do have interviews regarding Excel. Okay, so I'm going to write this down. The very fundamental thing for every user on Microsoft Excel is the keyboard shortcuts. Okay, it starts with keyboard shortcuts. Okay, I got to share numerous file, but don't worry, I'm going to do deep dive one by one so that when you go for an interview and if someone asks you what is your portfolio and how an individual or employee can add value, especially on Excel, the one of the first thing is keyboard shortcut. Some of you will be wondering how keyboard shortcut can add value in Excel. All right, let me just go to an Excel file. All right, so I'm just going to go to an Excel file over here. And let me just go to part 1. Okay, so my friends, I need your help again. So maybe can you type number 3? If you can see an Excel file over here. This Excel file is file number 4, but can you see this file? Okay, so if just say you are using Excel in your keyboard, you see sometimes what happen is, what if just say I want to highlight the list of cities over here. So what happen is, if just say I want to highlight a normal intern or a normal fresh graduate, they will press the shift button and they will press down. You see, by doing like this one by one, it takes time. As you can see over here. So when you are attending an interview, if an employee asks you the question, what is the fundamental thing that every Excel user should know is keyboard shortcut. So right now, if you notice, I am at A1. So when I press Control Shift down, you will notice that we have already highlight to the bottom. Control Shift down again, we will highlight to the bottom. So why we must learn this keyboard shortcut? Because the purpose of using Excel is to do calculation, analysis, and presentation. But sometimes what happen is, if you don't know, you will do one by one. And this is not an efficient way for us to use Excel. Okay, so I'm going to write down in the recaps and whatnot. So let me just zoom this so that you can see. Okay, let me just rub all this so that you can see clearly. So the first thing, like I told you, is Control Shift down. Control Shift down means it will highlight until the bottom data. So for example, I press Control Shift down, it will highlight to the bottom. Okay, this is something that not many people know, especially when they are new to Excel, because don't tell me you want to highlight like this one by one, especially when you work, whether you work in human resource department or when you work in an inventories department or data analyst, you won't be highlighting one by one. Instead, you'll press Control Shift down to highlight until the to highlight until the bottom last data. Okay. Now let me go to the next thing. You see here, now we know keyboard shortcuts. Okay, so if just say I want to go to the bottom, you don't have to do like this. If you want to go to the bottom, it's basically control down. When you press control down, it goes to the bottom. Control down again, it goes to the bottom. Control up, it goes to the top. Control up, it goes to the top. So now the interview question is, okay, what is the fundamental content or fundamental thing that every user of Excel should know? And one of them is keyboard shortcuts. Okay, the control command keys, so the control arrow keys, that basically helps you to move the data, and also control shift keys to highlight the data. Okay, so this one can help us. Okay, why we must know keyboard shortcut? Because it's enable us to work around the data effectively and efficiently. All right. So that's why when you know keyboard shortcuts, you can actually perform the task faster. When you perform the task faster, you can deliver the information on time to your manager. So that is why when I start teaching to my students, whether Malaysia, India, even in Africa as well, I always emphasize on keyboard shortcut. Okay, because if you talk about Excel, example over here we do have a data. So like for example, when I press Control G, when you press Control G, a box will appear and the box name is go to. So under the reference, if just say I type here A1, when I type A1, it will go to the cell column A and row number 1. When I press Control G, a box will appear. So if just say I write Z, okay, when I go to the reference and I write Z to 100, okay, if you notice carefully, I wrote column Z. Z doesn't have to be big letter or small letter. It can either write big letter or small letter, and then I put 200. So once I press OK, automatically it will go to column Z and 200. So basically, keyboard shortcut is very interesting. In fact, let me show you another example so that you can understand clearly. So maybe audience, can you type number 4 if you can see this table over here? Just type number 4 if you can see this table. Right. So if this table, we have city, we have companies, and then we have OPEX items and whatnot. So right now, why I emphasize keyboard shortcut? Why every individual who is a data analyst in Excel need to know keyboard shortcut? A fresh graduate or intern, if he wants to highlight the data, they will highlight like this. You see, what I'm doing right now is I'm highlighting the data using my mouse, something like this. This is not an efficient way. If you want to highlight faster, you just press Control A. When you press Control A, it will highlight the entire table. So when you are attending an interview and when you are validating that you are an expert in Excel, the number one thing is mastering the keyboard shortcut. When an individual can master the keyboard shortcut, they can actually work efficiently in terms of reporting and whatnot. Okay, so that is number one. Number two, let's go to the next question. So what is the main features that every Excel users should know? Okay. See, there are certain things is like good to know. Like if you know pivot table, that's great. You know conditional formatting, that's great. But there are certain features that you should know. It is a must know. And one of it is absolute reference. Okay. Why absolute reference is important? And basically, what is absolute reference? Some people will use the word term called lock. That means you are locking the cells. Some people will use the terms of F4 button, okay, where you have the dollar signs and whatnot. Some of you know, but for those who don't know, now let me teach you. So what I'll do is I'll go to my Excel file, okay. So I'll just go to a sheet called absolute reference. So I need your help. Can anybody type number 5 in the chat box if you can see absolute reference? Okay, so thank you, Mohit. How about others? Okay, so right now, if you notice right here, there is a data F4, Samsung, Huawei, Apple. So maybe what I'll do is let me zoom this so that people can see clearly. Okay, in exercise 1, we have a company like Samsung, Huawei, Apple. And in these companies, they have their respective profit like 9,000, 1,000, and 12,000. So if just say I'm an intern, okay, I'm a graduate, I got a job, and my manager asks me to calculate the tax. You see, in Malaysia, the tax is about 24%. So as an intern, as a dedicated intern, what I'll do is I put here equal 9,000 multiply with 24%. And then when you press enter, so of course you manage to calculate the taxation for Samsung. So if just say I drag to the right, so my friends, do you think the taxation for Huawei and Apple is correct? If you think correct, please type yes. If you think it's wrong, please type no. Do you think this answers is correct? Okay, so Akriti said no. How about others? Okay, so thank you guys for most of you are saying no. Okay, for those who don't know, you might be puzzled and complex that why or your colleagues or your members are just typing no in the chat box. Well, basically, if we look logically, when 9,000 times with 24%, you get 2,000. When 1,000 times with 24%, you should get a small amount. But right now, if you notice, we are getting 2 million, and over here, we are getting a bigger amount, which is in the form of billions. So when I double click, I notice that it doesn't multiply with the 24%. When I drag to the right, Excel, the problem is it followed the sequence. You need to actually tell to Excel, tell to the particular cell that which cell we need to log and whatnot. Now, let me go to the next example. Okay, so now I'm just going to put here equal. I'm going to select this 29 pound and I'm going to multiply with the exchange rate of 5.4. As we can see in this given data, we do have a database regarding the inventories, the SKU, the brand, and the price of the each product in GBP, which is Great Britain Pound Sterling. So basically, since I'm from Malaysia, I would like to know what is the price in Ringgit Malaysia. So what I do is, this 29 pound, I multiply with the exchange rate. And then what I do, I press enter. So once I press enter, the next step is I'll just double click over here and you will notice that this data shows blank. So my friends, do you think it's correct? If you think it's correct, please type number 6. But if you think the answers here are wrong, please type number 7. So if you notice carefully, why some of y'all are typing number 7? Because if you see here, the price of orange in GBP is 12 pound. But if you convert to Malaysia, don't tell me it's free or no charges. So these are the common mistakes made by intern and fresh graduate. And what I'm telling is, you see, a manager's job is to manage the employee, to review the performance. And sometimes manager will have so many tasks. What happen is the intern or the new fresh employee, they will do wrongly, and they will immediately email this to the client. They will immediately email this to the senior manager, and the manager never check. At the end, the manager will get scolding. So this is a very, very serious thing that every Excel user must know. It is not that can know, it is must know. Because if you don't know pivot table, you don't know conditional formatting, that is not a possibility for you to make mistakes. You see, when you go to a hospital, you want to go to a doctor who knows how to do a surgery. You can't be going to a doctor who doesn't know how to use a knife and whatnot. So the same thing goes to when an employee selects you, you must be in a position of competent and expert so that you can actually add value to the company. When you send this report to your client, of course, you will send the wrong purchase order, the wrong quotation, the wrong information. So this is where we will learn the F4. Some people, it will be the F4 button. For some people, it will be function plus F4. Meaning to say, if you look in your keyboard, whether you're using a Lenovo laptop or Acer or Dell, every laptop has this almost the same keyboards. That means you will have Q, W, E, R, T, and whatnot. But if you look here carefully, I'm just going to draw somewhere here. Let me just draw a shape. So let me draw this particular shape. Okay, so when I draw this shape, you will notice that I'm hiding a F4 button. So let me just remove the color, no fill, and I put here a dark weight and so on. Okay, let me just put this. All right, so now can you see there's a F4 button in this screen I'm showing right now? Maybe you can type number 8 if you can see the F4 button that I'm showing right now. Okay, so thank you, Aishwarya. How about others? Mohit and friends, can you see this F4 button? So, why I'm teaching you this topic, basically, if you don't know Excel and you don't know this, there is a possibility of making a human mistake, a human error. So, like for example, over here, if just say, what I do is, I put here equal, I select the 9,000, okay, because this is a profit. And then I multiply with 24%. If you look here carefully, this 24%, it remains in one cell. It remains in one location. So what I need to do is, I press F4, or in some laptop is function and F4. So when I press function and F4, you will notice there are two dollar sign. $1 is before the D, another dollar sign is before the 10. So this is what they call as lock, or this is what they call a technical word is absolute reference. So you press enter, and then you can drag to the right, and then you press Control R. So when you press Control R or you drag to the right, you'll notice that you'll get the correct figures. The same thing goes to this price as well. So what I do is I press here equal, I select 29 pound, I multiply with the exchange rate. So if you look here carefully, this exchange rate, it remains in one cell, it remains in one location. So that's why we need to press on F4, or some laptop will be function F4. So I'll press F4, and you will notice there are two dollar sign, and then you press enter, and then you can just double click. So automatically you'll get the correct information. So when you are attending an interview, so you can tell to your interviewers, your hiring manager, that if just say an employee, if he's competent in Excel, the number one thing is keyboard shortcut. Because using keyboard shortcut, you can save a lot of time. By saving a lot of time, you can work effectively and efficiently. The second thing is, the one thing that every employees who are using Excel should know is absolute reference. Because it's okay not to know about the formulas or the pivot table, but if you know absolute reference, you can actually avoid making mistake, avoid making error. All right. So my friends, so far, do you understand? If you understand, maybe can you type number 9 in the chat box? If you understand so far. All right. This is number 1. This is number 2. Now let me go to the next slide. So the next slide is, what is the other formulas that every Excel user should know? Well, there is a formula called VLOOKUP, and if you are using the latest version, there is a formula called XLOOKUP. So if when I talk about lookup, it doesn't mean that you have to look up. The lookup formula, basically, it is matching data. And what is VLOOKUP? The V means it's vertical. And of course, they have the HLOOKUP, which is the horizontal. Well, XLOOKUP is the latest formula introduced since Excel 365, which is for the year on 2020. So XLOOKUP can cater both, and there are certain features that XLOOKUP can do that VLOOKUP cannot do. So now let me just go to the topic. So I'll just open my Finder and let me go to my recent. Okay, where is that? Okay, so let me just go to the downloads and let me just go over here. So we do have a file called matching data. What I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer this file and put it over here. Okay, so if you are very new to Excel, you just finish your studies, I will suggest you to know this VLOOKUP formula. Why we need to know this VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP and whatnot? Because if we know this, then we can actually work our data effectively. Okay, so let's get started. All right, so now my friends, let me just put this in the full screen. So can you see this particular database over here? If you can see this database, maybe can you type number 1 in the chat box? If you can see this file. In fact, I got shared this file in the chat box as well. Okay, so let me zoom this so that you can see clearly. Okay, all right. So right now we do have two different tables. You have one table which have the list of students. In one table, you have list of students. In another table, you have the course code and the course. So basically what I want to know, you see, sometimes when you work in a company, your manager will assign you a task. It could be finding the value of a number. It could be finding the value of inventory and whatnot. So of course, in one table, we will not have the particular details. Like for example, over here we have this one table. This table, we have the course code, we have the student, we have the ID number, but we don't have the course. So the assignment is, we need to find the course for each student. We need to find the course for each student. So if you see here, the course code is EE. So here the course is electrical engineering. So if just say, I don't know VLOOKUP, just say, I don't know XLOOKUP, I'm a slow learner, I'm an intern, I just joined the company. So what I'll do is, I will copy, I will paste. ME. So what I'll do is, I will copy and then I paste. And then the next one is BF. So I will copy and then I will paste. So my friends, before I proceed further, do you think this is an efficient way to do? If you think it's efficient, please type number 2. If you think it's not an efficient way, please type number 3. Again, I repeat, if you think this is a correct way, please type number 2. If you think this is a wrong way, please type number 3. Okay, so the thing is, for a basic Excel user, let me go to my PowerPoint. For a basic Excel user, number 1 is keyboard shortcut. Number 2 is absolute reference. When you know this, you can consider yourself as basic. And then the next one is VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP. So let me explain to you why VLOOKUP and XLOOKUP is better rather than doing manually. Manually means something like this. Let me just go here. Okay, now if you notice, I'm doing this manually. When you talk about VLOOKUP, the V in the VLOOKUP means vertical lookup. So equal VL. So this is VLOOKUP, so I press tab. So once I press tab, what it will do is, they will ask you what is the lookup value. So right now, you have two different tables. Here you have course code. Here also you have course code. So what we'll do is, lookup value, we will select the common column. Again, I repeat, the word lookup value means we will select the common column. So if you see here also the course code, here also we got course code. So what we will do is, we will select this particular cell. Okay, why we select here? Why we never select this H2? Because in this particular table, we already have the course name. But in this table, we don't have the course name. So lookup value, you choose the common column, but you want to choose the common column which you don't have the data. Next, table array. Table array, you highlight the other table. Table array, you highlight the other table, comma. Column index number. So here, if you notice, I highlighted column H and column I. If you notice carefully, I highlighted two columns, which is column H and column I. So what I do is, I put column number 2, and then, okay, why column number 2? Why not column number 1? You see here, we have highlighted two columns. In column number 1, we have cost code. In column number 2, we have the cost. So based on what we highlighted, we want to find the second column, which is the cost. So I put column number 2 and then comma. Next one is true or false. Well, if true, we choose approximate match. Where false, we choose exact match. So I'll just put 0. You can type 0 for false, or you can type 1 for true. So I'll put 0, and then after that I press enter. So now what I'll do is, I'll just double click over here. When I double click, it is faster. So if you notice earlier, I was copy and paste. I was doing one by one. When you do one by one, especially when you have thousands of data, you can spend more than 30 minutes of doing the task. This is why if you know VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP, you can do faster. So right now, I got teach you what is VLOOKUP false. Now let me teach you what is XLOOKUP. If you're using Excel 365, you can actually use XLOOKUP, meaning to say equal XL. You don't have to type the entire word. You just press tab. Where is tab? If you look in your keyboard, there is a Q button. Beside the Q button, there is a tab button. So you press tab, and then the lookup value, you select EE, because we want to find the cost for EE, and then comma, lookup array. What is lookup array? Lookup array, this particular cost code belongs to this particular array. The word array means area. So I'm going to select this area and then press comma. Next is return array. Return array means which area I want to find. I want to find this area. And then you do what? You press enter, and then you press double click. And there you go. So if you notice, XLOOKUP is faster than VLOOKUP, because in VLOOKUP, you have 4 arguments. But in XLOOKUP, you only have 3 arguments. The lookup value, the lookup array, and return array. But now, there is a question. You see, just now we learned VLOOKUP false. And when we know in VLOOKUP, it can either be true or it can be false. I teach you VLOOKUP false. So if the interviewer asks you, when we use VLOOKUP true? Well, let me just go to this example over here. So right now, we do have this particular example where we do have the score, we do have the grades, and we do have the student and their respective score. So what I want to do is, I want to find their grade, whether they pass or whatnot. So if just say I use VLOOKUP false equal VLOOKUP, lookup value, table array, I highlight these two, comma, column number 2, comma, 0. You can write false or you can write 0. When I put 0 and I press double click, you will notice you will get an A, which is not available. But only 80, you have the grade, because over here we have 80. So to let you know what is VLOOKUP true and VLOOKUP false. Well, to answer this question, you use VLOOKUP true for approximate match. Approximate match means it can be the data should not be exact number or exact details. If you look here carefully in what I'm sharing right now, in this particular case, we don't have 45. Here we don't have 45. Here we have 38, but we don't have 38 over here. So that's why VLOOKUP false if they follow exact match. But when we talk about VLOOKUP true, which is this data over here, instead of 0, you can put true. True is approximate match. So we can write here 1 and we press enter. And then when we double click, there you go. So VLOOKUP true, it is actually for approximate match. That means when you have a range of data, range of data. What does it mean? Range of data means, like for example over here, like for example, if just say a number is between 0 to 49, then the student is fail. 50 to 64, sorry, if the student is pass. 65 to 79, the student is average. 80 to 89, the student is good. And 90 above, the student is excellent. So when you have a range of data, you use VLOOKUP true. But when you use exact data, you can use VLOOKUP false or XLOOKUP. But can XLOOKUP cater the same? Well, in this case, VLOOKUP true is better than XLOOKUP. Why? Well, XLOOKUP, if just say I put here equal XLOOKUP, lookup value, you select this number over here. Lookup array, you select over here. Return array, you select over here. So when you press enter, you will not get the answer. When you press enter, you cannot get the answer. You need to do extra argument. Comma, if not found, you can ignore. Comma, -1. -1 means we'll take the nearest lowest and -1 and enter. So right now, when I press double click, you can also do for XLOOKUP. But why VLOOKUP true is better than XLOOKUP? Well, to answer this question, let me show you. Let me just show you over here. Sorry. So if you notice carefully, VLOOKUP true, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4. We only have to key in 4 times. But XLOOKUP, we key in 5 times. So that is why when you have a range of data, you use VLOOKUP true. So the question is, who in this planet will use VLOOKUP true? Well, for taxation, because different companies have different profit. When you have a different profit, you pay different percentage of taxation. Pharmaceutical companies, why pharmaceutical companies? Because pharmaceutical companies, they have medicine. Certain medicine, they will keep in different temperature. So temperature is not fixed. It is a range of data. And then, of course, grades and whatnot. Then one more important thing about this VLOOKUP is, VLOOKUP true, the table array or the original data should be arranged in ascending order, meaning either A to Z or small to big. Whereas when you talk about VLOOKUP false, VLOOKUP false is exact match. So you cannot make spelling mistake. All right. And it doesn't really matter on the data should be arranged in the ascending order and whatnot. To make you understand, let me go use this example again. You see here, now if you look here, the data is arranged in an ascending order. 0, 50, 65, 80, 90. If I put here 100, you see you have error. If I put here 200, you see you have error. Why? Because if you look here carefully, this data is not arranged in an ascending order. XLOOKUP you can get, but VLOOKUP true, you must arrange in an ascending order. That means you must put here 0 and then you must put here 65, then it works. Okay, so to give you an understanding, VLOOKUP true works when you arrange the data in A to Z and when the data has a range. Meaning to say, let me use this example over here. Okay, so let me go to this example so that you can see clearly. So wait, let me just go here. Okay, so right now, if just say if you look here, this is our data. So just say I put here Liverpool. Okay, I written there's a word called Liverpool and I put here equal VL. So this is my lookup value and then I select my table array, comma number 2, comma 0. 0 means false, exact match. So when I press enter, you will notice that Liverpool has become NA. Why? because over here we don't have any data that has the term or word called Liverpool. But if just say I want to actually change the 0 to 1 because 1 is approximate match. When I press enter, you still have a number. But if you notice, it will not show correctly. So what I can do is I can press here right click, sort A to Z. When I sort A to Z, you see the number changes because why it shows 74.93? Well, the word Lee Swee Kiat begins with the alphabet L. The word Lee Swee Kiat begins with the alphabet L. The word Liverpool begins with the alphabet L. So in this case, these two terms begins with alphabet L so that they capture. Okay, so VLOOKUP true is used when you have a range of data, but VLOOKUP false, this one is used, I will use here, applied when you have a range of data. This one, it is used when you have specific data. Okay, so my friends, do you understand? If you understand, can you type number 2 in the chat box? Number 2. Okay, if you understand VLOOKUP true and so on. So what we learn is for a beginner, when you are attending an interview, when you want to show your portfolio and whatnot, so at least right now you know that every Excel user must know keyboard shortcut. Every Excel user should know this absolute reference. And of course, the next thing is VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP is vertical, horizontal is HLOOKUP, XLOOKUP is latest. But even though XLOOKUP is the latest, but most of the time they prefer to use VLOOKUP true, because VLOOKUP true is faster. But when we talk about VLOOKUP false, it's better to use XLOOKUP because it's faster and whatnot. Now, let me go to the next part. I'll just write these two things. Number one is pivot table. And the next slide is, I want to write Power Query. Okay. So now pivot table, I can just consider it putting in the mix of basic and intermediate, because pivot table can do S, A, and P, where S is summary, A is analysis, P is presentation. You can create a presentation using pivot table, pivot charts and whatnot. Meanwhile, if you know Power Query, you can consider yourself as an advanced Excel user, because Power Query can do E, T, L, whereby E is extract. In English, extract means import data. Yes, Mohit, sure, we can cover in a while. And T for transform, where we can perform data cleaning. This Power Query is not only available in Excel, it is also available in your Power BI. And then load. Load is in your Excel, whether it can load into table format or pivot table format. So yes, Mohit, can you clarify what's your question? You have a doubt. Can you cover one doubt for VLOOKUP? Yes. What's your doubt, Mohit?
Ellen, can you go back to the VLOOKUP slide where you did it?
Okay.
No, the Excel file.
Oh, Excel file. Okay.
Yes. The false condition, it's, I guess, on the initial slides.
Okay. Yeah, this one.
Yes. So many times we come across situations, and it was asked with me in an interview only that, like here, while applying VLOOKUP, we have taken H and I column full. But many times when we are presenting dashboards and all, we are asked to take only to fix the specific cells. So can you show a VLOOKUP by just fixing the cells, fixing the data that pick only from these 5 cells?
Okay, which means which five cell? H and I or what?
H2I, I guess it is still fifth.
Okay.
H1 to I5 by fixing the cells.
Oh, okay. Fixing the cell. So yeah. All right.
I
We
hope
can do that.
I hope you
Okay.
got my point, because
Yeah.
here we have covered entire H row, but many
Okay.
times we
Yeah.
need to put some data or some
Yes. Correct.
dashboard below it. That's why.
Okay. So okay. Thank you for your question, Rohit. So the thing is, yes, sometimes we highlight the selected range, But if you remember, after the keyboard shortcut, did I teach you all about the absolute reference or the F4 button? Maybe can anybody say yes in the chat box? Where you press
Yes, Ellen.
the F4 button will be like this. You see, thank you, Mohit, for pointing out, because sometimes if you never highlight the particular column, you just do like this, comma number 2, comma 0. Yes, it is correct. But when you drag down, you will notice that all this is an error. Why? Because when you look specifically, it is selecting the different table array. So thank you, Mohit, for your question. So when you are doing in your work and whatnot, you must make sure that your table array is locked. That is why, if you remember in my slides earlier, I say first is keyboard shortcut. The second thing is the second thing is the absolute reference. So you must lock this. So once you lock, and then after that you double click, then only you can get the correct answer. Okay, so Mohit, did I answer your question?
Yes, Ellen. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so now go back to topic. So basically in this topic, I already teach you what is the basic part, like your keyboard shortcuts, VLOOKUP, pivot table. I never go in detail, but I told you pivot table is where you can do analysis. There's a lot of analysis you can do in pivot table. And then there is also Power Query. This one is useful for ETL process where you can import data from external softwares. And this one you can actually automate your report. Okay. So right now I've actually covered a little bit. So my friends, so far, do you have any questions? It was asked me when I was interviewed, what if we it was asked from me when I was interviewing for this that we need to insert data, show dashboard for row selected. So can you explain, Mohit, what's your point?
No, no, I was just telling like the way you showed VLOOKUP by selecting entire H and I row. But in
Yeah.
consulting, we are asked to build dashboards on a single Excel sheet. So
Mm-hmm.
if a dashboard is put or some data is put that by applying the filter, a client is like viewing the data and based on that only if the visualization is coming. So that's when he asked me to fix the cells of a particular column that this
Lock,
data
yes.
is
Lock the cells
reflected
and whatnot. Yeah.
uh, and charts come. So that's why I asked you to do it like that.
Yeah. Sure, sure.
So it's a part of interview question. That's why I asked. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that's when we lock like just now. So besides Mohit, anyone got any questions?
I think it's a no. That's why no one is commenting or saying anything.
All right. So if no questions, then I can pass to Akriti or Arun. So that, yeah, I have already covered for the basic part. So, yeah.
Thank you, Ellen. We learned a lot about these initial topics that you had, and we will continue building on this series so that every with with every session people learn something new. I think you wanted to. Did you want to share something about Power Pivot because I saw the something on Power Query or automated report? Is that going to be our next topic next time?
Yeah, next topic will be pivot table, which is next week.
Fantastic. That sounds wonderful. So, what we'll also do is we'll prepare a list of questions asked on each topic, so that so one slide can be just a list of like top 5 or top 7 questions, and people can take that as an assignment and share those in the groups that we have. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for being here. Sorry, I heard somebody trying to say something.
It was me only. I was about to ask that Ellen, if you could tell or anyone else who could cover this. This is open for all, not only for Ellen or Anu. It's open for everyone. Like in PowerPoint, we do a lot of visualization and we view how we can present the data, not keeping it cluttered. Any resource or anything you have in mind that is very good for this Excel.
You
Hello.
mean infographic or the visuals or whatnot?
Everything, Ellen, basically, like we present the data. I will be taking an example of PowerPoint. Okay. We have certain slides for it, pre-built templates and all, or there are certain YouTube channels who cover how you can do it better. Is there anything like that for Excel also?
I think Excel is you can use the dashboard actually to dashboard, like, like Power BI to present data and figures and whatnot.
Any specific resource you could tell or guide?
Oh, resource. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
from where we can learn from scratch or where we
Okay,
can
okay,
get
yeah.
ideas.
CPC, I mean, CFI, Corporate Finance Institute.
Can you share your screen and show? That will be
Oh, okay,
helpful for
I'll
everyone.
just type Corporate
Um,
Finance Institute. Yes.
Mohit, are you in front of a laptop?
Yes.
Can you display your screen? Ellen, hold on for 1 sec. Now, go to YouTube, type Corporate Finance Institute. Do you see something coming up?
Yes, the second one. 316, yes.
Okay. So this way you can join this one. There are many things. See, what we're trying to teach is we're trying to teach phishing. So when people come up with basic questions like, can you find this for me on, can you find X for me on YouTube? Can you find this for me on Google? People should, I'm of the opinion, strong opinion rather, that people should try to look at things that you can Google on your own rather than asking uh, an instructor to fish for you. So that's about the CFI. There are many other channels. So if you typed uh, Excel, you'll see many other channels. So Mohit, it's your role now to come and tell us what all did you find after some research.
I already spoke to Ellen about it last week. My question, let me let me phrase it again. I opened it for everyone with the reason that if anyone is having anything in mind, I already know about these. I already searched about them and I already asked about Ellen also. But many times people come up with various resources from where they have done, or like
Gotcha.
they share some experience that this channel, this part is good, or this side, this thing is wrongly covered. It's not applicable. They have shown there, or it's not applicable. So that's why I kept it open to everyone that if
Got,
anyone else wants to contribute to something,
gotcha. So I will
maybe
just
they.
ask. I'll just ask around. Abhishek or Chandan or Chinmay, Gaurav, GT, Harsh Baspa, Harshit, Kia Bilash, Muskan, Palak, Pranat, Rachit, Soumya. Does anybody have any feedback or comments, or um, can you share if you like the session? What and you can always write in our groups what would you like to see more of, so that when we get a lot of feedback, we can add those topics, because Ellen is going to keep adding topics to the slides that he was showing you, but we want to make sure that when it becomes like the slide becomes like a Bible, it has value for you. We're all about providing, COE is all about providing value to you guys. This session is not meant for Ellen, it's not meant for the leads, it's not meant for me. It is basically, people who are taking interviews, people who are preparing for the interviews. And even though some people have nothing to do with Excel or PowerPoint or Alteryx or Power BI or cloud computing, what we want you to learn is everybody should have basic confidence. Just like, when you see Ellen is able to present, whether it is an audience of 10 people, audience of 20 people, or 20,000 people. So I always watch Ellen, and uh, tell everybody in the COE that you should also gain confidence. If you can prepare a topic, come present it, and uh, people are going to listen to you if you prepare it well. They will provide some feedback on that, and this is how you develop your confidence. A lot of people come and ask, how do I develop my communication skills? Well, this is your chance where you um, come up and present something if you want. Apart from that, obviously, we have a lot of leads and instructors of various technologies. For example, we have Kavya, we have SK, we have Ashok, data engineering, we have Aradhya, we have Rashika Kale, we have Muskan, and we have so many great people that I might be forgetting a few names. We have great volunteers. But guys, this meeting is basically for you to come up and share your ideas as well. So whether some people like to do it in a chat, some people like to come up like we had Ashwarya, who had presented something on statistics in the past. So guys, please come up and share with us. And when you're asked feedback, did you enjoy the session? At least you can unmute yourself and say yes or no. Because a lot of times you see people, they're just silent. So if the session works for you, that's when you feel happier. And that's why we have decided to put it on YouTube as well, so that you can instead of us sending out a recording in every group, you have access to it whenever you want. So Palak, Pranath, Aroy, Rachit, Soumya, any feedback, anything you want to say? Abhishek, Chandan, Chinmay, Gaurav?
May I say something? So, sorry.
Sure.
Sir, I think we should have more classes like these on the weekends because, VLOOKUP is very crucial right now, and I think the more we can practice, the more we can get refined in the particular subject and even in Excel. So, if we can have more classes like these, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, we try to do that often, and usually Ellen's here Saturday or Sunday, and then we have a lot of premium classes. We have so Saturday Sunday actually becomes a pretty busy time of the week for us. So we'll try to do as many as we can.
Right, sir. That's the feedback, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else wants to go next? I can see Soumya thanking us in the chat box. People are writing in the chat box. Well, yeah, thank you, Abhishek. Guys in the audience, thank you so much for attending. And Ellen, thank you always for doing this for us. And we'll see you soon again. A lot of people are wishing you come back to India and stay here.